Hey, happy Thursday, Met fans. How we doing? Just five the doubleheader. Did the Milwaukee series have you going crazy? What an emotional roller coaster. And game one was one of the best games of the year. Game two, not so much. That's probably because I went to the game and when I go, it's a dud. But anyway, uh, two out of three ain't bad, baby. And I'll take two out of three when you got Woodruff and you got Burns going against your squad. So big series for the Mets. And that gives them a little impetus going into the Pittsburgh series this weekend. And I couldn't be happier. I got to give the Brewers credit. They put their big gun, Burns, against deGrom in game one of the split doubleheader yesterday. I thought maybe they'd opt for him to go to the second game and try to win that one outright, but they ended up winning the second game, but they didn't win Burns against deGrom, although deGrom didn't get the win. We needed a miracle, not a miracle comeback, a great comeback, one of the best of the year to win that one. And we'll talk more about that. And what do you say we start? Who's ready? Okay. I see you guys are. Well, we all know the afternoon game. First of all, before we go any further, let me talk about these split day-night doubleheaders. The Mets, it's the first time they've done it, and I know teams like the Yankees, Red Sox, because they have so much ticket revenue coming in, they don't want to lose a day to revenue. And I could see the Mets doing it for the first time, but they've been playing 2 7-inning games back to back. You don't want to call them real doubleheaders, but it wasn't one of these 2 separate admission type of things. But they've had so many 2 game doubleheaders, one admission. I'm going to both of them coming up. I think Miami in July 26th and Atlanta, I think, in August. So I'll forgive them this time. But basically, it's a clusterfuck, as I like to say. I had to work yesterday, and with the game being postponed Tuesday, which was another issue altogether with me, that they waited till 10 o'clock. Just call the game. Don't make people sit through that. If it's 9 o'clock, you're not going to play the game, just call the game. But anyway, before I digress, it kind of sucked because if I would have known that they were going to play maybe a real twilight doubleheader at 4 o'clock, I could have made arrangements to do it. But bing, bang, boom, they announced the 2 o'clock start, and I just couldn't get away from work. So I found myself in the predicament of actually having to travel to Citi Field while deGrom was pitching. And that's a heartache. I want to be there watching Jake. Jake's my main man. I do everything I can to watch Jacob deGrom pitch, but it just didn't work out yesterday for me. So I was following on the phone, taking public transportation out there. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing how far we've progressed where you can actually listen to the game and follow the game on the MLB app, pitch by pitch, and give you a diagram and what's going on and everything. It's fantastic. Sometimes it's actually better than being there. You just don't want to fall in the trap of being suckered into modern technology. And I try not to. But it was quite a game yesterday, the first game. Jacob deGrom, I don't think there's another baseball player talked about more now, except maybe Shohei Ohtani. I think he's even bypassed Tatis and Acuna and Guerrero as one of the most talked about baseball players out there. And why not? Everything he does now is dissected, spliced, diced, and examined with a microscope because he is that good. And we want to find out, is he going to be that good? Is he ever going to get hurt? How can a man throw the ball 100 miles per hour on a consistent basis like he does? Is he a freak of nature? Well, I don't know. I don't have the answer, but he just keeps getting better and better and better. And I know one of the reasons why they waited so long on Tuesday, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this, is because they wanted deGrom to pitch on Sunday. And we'll talk about that in a second. But it just wasn't meant to be. Mother Nature did not cooperate, and deGrom had to pitch the first game yesterday. Now, I know the Mets are debating whether or not to bring deGrom back on short rest on Sunday. Well, number one, I think the good thing is he won't be pitching the All-Star game. When I was a kid, I loved the All-Star game. Now I'm a child of the '70s. I grew up on the '70s baseball and the '80s. And it meant a lot because there was no interleague play, and you took pride. If you were a Met fan, you rooted for the National League. You rooted for Lee Mazzilli to hit that home run in the Kingdom. You just rooted. Like when Tom Seaver was introduced as a National League All-Star, that meant the world to you as a kid. And now I don't. No one even cares. I think everyone's more interested in the home run derby. There's more talk about the home run derby than the actual game. And the fact of the matter is, the real stars are out of there after like 3 innings. So you basically, when you're playing for all the marbles, it's usually, I'm not going to call any all-star a second string. I'm not going to call any major leaguer a second stringer, but it's not your top of the tier all-stars competing when the game's on the line. So, which kind of made the fact that they were playing for the World Series home field advantage based on the World Series all-star outcome a few years ago a joke. But I guess they just had to do something to get the players to be inspired. But to me, it's just an exhibition game. So if deGrom's not going to pitch it, more power to him. And hopefully it gives Taijuan Walker a shot at actually pitching in the All-Star game. But deGrom was deGrom yesterday. Threw 85 pitches in the 4-3 win over the Brewers in Game 1 of Wednesday split doubleheader. And like I said, he's not going to pitch in the All-Star game. He's a Met first, and he's putting the Mets as his main priority. And that's good. I want to see that. I'm not being selfish. I know the whole world wants to see deGrom, possibly a deGrom-Ohtani matchup to start the game. But to me, it's irrelevant. Like I said, watch the All-Star game for what it is, an exhibition, and let it go at that. If deGrom doesn't pitch, I know I would have liked to see him pitch, but not at the risk of him getting hurt in an exhibition game, that's for sure. But the Mets, even though they fell behind with Jake on the mound, they showed their resiliency. Jeff McNeil's walk-off 2-run single in the 8th inning did it, and what a clutch hit. Those last 2 innings, the 7th and the 8th inning, were as good as they get if you're a Met fan. And it was something. It was something. But before going into that, let's talk a little bit more about Jake deGrom. He's basically showed a little bit of his human side lately. And he never really did that in the first 12 outings, in which he went 7-2 with a 0.50 ERA. deGrom, now hold on. I know this is going to sound startling to you, but in his last 3 starts, he has a 3.15 ERA. And believe me, any pitcher in this day and age, a 3.15 ERA is fantastic. But one of the reasons for that is he's been getting up some home runs, and yesterday was no exception. He allowed multiple homers for the first time this season on a pair of solo shots by Luis Urias and Jace Peterson. But much as he recovered from a rocky start in his previous outing, deGrom retired nearly everyone else to complete 7 effective innings. He struck out 10 en route to becoming the second fastest pitcher to reach 1,500 career hits, 1,500 career strikeouts in his career. And just the fact that he's given up home runs at this point is kind of shocking everybody. Like, wow, someone can actually hit a home run off of Superman. And he means so much to the Mets, deGrom. And we were all scared, taking out the rosary breeze, praying every time that he had missed bits and pieces of the first half due to either the mild side problems he was having or the elbow and the shoulder problems. So if it's not one thing, it's another, right? But the Mets, I think, are looking at the long term here, and they're basically protecting him with kid gloves and bubble wrap here, and they just don't want him to pitch when he doesn't have to. So him not pitching the All-Star game is no skin off the Mets' nose. And to be honest with you, I don't even really care if he pitches against Pittsburgh. We'll have other stars. We'll rest the guys, and you could just do a bullpen game there. So if deGrom just pitches 1 or 2 innings, I guess that's fine. If that's his day to actually tune up, I'm all for it. But the good news is he will be skipping the All-Star game this weekend. And the good news is Taijuan Walker will take his place, and Taijuan deserves that shot. Most likely it'll be Taijuan. I think you have to have a Met representative on there. Am I correct? Even if deGrom is replaced? So I think it would be Taijuan. And like I said, I guess the Mets are just going to wait and see how it goes for Sunday. I think too much emphasis is being made on this. Will deGrom pitch Sunday? If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. What are you going to do? But it shows you what a year Bob Gibson had in 1968. With those runs deGrom gave up, his ERA rose to 1.08. So that shows you like how dominant Bob Gibson was that year, and kudos to him. That was unbelievable. The year he had, without a doubt. And like I said, we just have to make sure that deGrom is healthy. That is the main thing. But how about Jose Peraza yesterday? What a big hit he had, huh? We'll talk about that in a second because Jeff McNeil also had a big hit. McNeil's now been back 17 games, and he was on the injury list after missing a month with a hamstring strain. But he wasn't really even hitting that well when he went on the injured list. So it's just good to see Jeff back too. We forget that Jeff McNeil is one of the best hitters in baseball. In 2018 and 2019, I think he was definitely in the top three. I know that as far as batting average is concerned, total in the major leagues for that 2-year period. And he was just a hitting machine. I mean, unbelievable. I think he kind of flew under the radar because the polar bear was having such a great year with his home runs and kind of stealing the lightning away from Jacob. But I'm so glad to be seeing him now doing what he does. And he's finding his groove. And he did get the walk-off hit. How exciting was that, though? That walk-off hit. I was ecstatic when that happened. Ecstatic. And I'm not sure if you guys were, but I didn't see it. I was following the game, like I said, on the radio and on the phone there. But it was just great. And it was probably even more exciting because it was more suspenseful because I actually couldn't see it happening. Try it once in a while. Listen to a game on the radio, follow along the internet without like watching the game. It has you on pins and needles and suspense waiting for what's going to happen next. But before going 2 for 4 in game one, McNeil was hitting 11 for 49, 224 with no extra base hits since coming off the IL. But hold on. What's this crap popping? Sorry, folks. Little glitch in the system. Put that open. Jeez. Some commercials. I don't even get it. This is what happens when you go live, folks. You're looking live. Remember Brent Musburger looking live? Well, you're looking live. Quite frankly, it's a little bit embarrassing. Hopefully that ad just went away. Probably not, right? Oh my goodness, what is going on here? You want your money back? How much you guys pay for this? Oh, you didn't pay anything. Can't give you your money back. But nice try. But I'm glad you're watching anyway. And see how I improvise when things go wrong? Pretty bad, huh? But anyway, big win with McNeil getting that big hit. And like I said, before going 2 for 4 in game one, McNeil was hitting 11 for 49, 224 with no extra base hits since coming off the IL. And that's a little disturbing. You don't want McNeil to lose his power. I mean, that guy's got some right porch power, and he can smack those doubles in the gap. But it looks like he's beginning to settle back as an important piece of the Mets lineup. And Wednesday marked his 4th multi-hit game of the season. The last 7 starts, I should say. He's batting 9 for 26, 346 in that span. He's feeling good. And all us Met fans feel good when McNeil starts hitting the ball, and I'm one of them. What we're not feeling good about, and he's the only regular not to come back, and it looks like we're almost forgetting about him, is J.D. Davis. He has that left hand sprain, and he was one of the last ones left on the injured list. It was initially trending toward returning this weekend. But because Rojas basically said they were committed to bringing him back before his rehab assignment before the break ended. But now it looks like they probably want him to take more at-bats. So he may just stay there during the break and get more at-bats. But that remains to be seen. That's still up in limbo. and it doesn't seem like he'll be playing with the Mets this weekend, either Saturday, Sunday, like originally hoped. He was set to play in his 5th rehab game Wednesday with AAA Syracuse. It was his 2nd rehab stint after that first one got cut short in May with his hand still not fully healthy. Now, James McCann did not start game 1, but came off the bench for a key 9 pinch hit walk in the 8th inning to load the bases before McNeil's walk-off. And that bat was so key. I love when McCann does the little things. Like Brandon Nimmo drives pitchers crazy. You got to throw at least 5 pitches. And McCann, I say when a reliever comes in like that, and he's got a guy like McCann pestering him, and the bat in his first inning in the ball game to get 9 pitches to get a walk, that just frustrates you. You just wasted 9 pitches if you're a pitcher, and you got nothing out of it. And that's what I like. It gets inside the pitcher's head, and mentally they start fatiguing out. I always said the magic number is 30 pitches in an inning. So once you go above 20, I think it kind of gets in your mindset that, you really, really, really need to be more conservative with your pitches and get the guys out. But McCann's the type of guy that can do that to you. He can play with his head. And that was a good thing. Good thing. And like I said, McCann does the little things. I know I'm one of them. I was going, well, maybe Nito should be the catcher or whatever. But you could see like Nito just doesn't have the bat to be an everyday catcher. But McCann's a baseball guy. He is a baseball guy. Let's not forget that. And it's good to have him coming back into the fold and just being himself. Like I said, he just has to be productive. He doesn't have to be the superstar out there. Not at all. He just needs to do what he has to do. Miguel Castro, he needs to do what he needs to do, but he's going through a rough stretch, let's face it. And he gave up a 2-run homer in 1/3 of an inning in game 2. And hopefully he snaps back. I love his arm. As you guys know who listen to these YouTube casts or my podcast, I love Castro. He's got a lively arm. Maybe it's mechanical or he just grooves one, but that home run he gave hit, oh my, ball's still traveling. But I like him. He's got an electric arm. And with the proper pitching coach, I think he can do very, very well. Not doing very, very well right now is Corey Oswalt. He has right knee inflammation, and he hit the IL on Tuesday. So hopefully he'll be back sometime soon. We can only hope, right? That's all you can do. Where there's hope, there's dope. But how about Jose Peraza? Big Jose Peraza. He paved the way for that big win, and I think his hit was even more clutch than McNeil's because McNeil, he had all the ducks lined up with the bases loaded there just to get the hit. But Peraza, who expected it? He's part of that bench mob, and if we make the postseason, even if we don't, we should be so thankful that the bench mob rose to the occasion for the Mets this season. And Peraza provided the impetus with a game-tying home run in the 7th inning to force extra innings. Big, one of the biggest hits of the year. And pinch hitting with the Mets down to their final 2 outs, Peraza, boom! He ambushed the first pitch fastball from Josh Hader setting over the left field fence. Now, to do that against Hader, that's amazing. But it doesn't surprise me because he's been Mr. Clutch, getting those big hits in big moments and coming off the bench and getting hits. And Hader, like I said, he's one of the dominant closers in the game. And the ironic thing is Peraza really never hit Hader coming into that game. He was 1 for 8 as a batter against Hader in his career. But he was preparing himself all game, supposedly, in the batting cage. With an eye towards a potential matchup with Hader. So he was preparing to be that pinch hitter. Now, despite batting only .215, Peraza has been an invaluable component on the Mets' success. 5 of his 6 home runs and 10 of his 18 RBIs either tied the game or given the Mets the lead. Recently, he has continued to flourish in spite of reduced playing time and is now batting, get this, .555 off the bench. Now, I know with J.D. Davis coming back, his status with the Mets, his roster status is tenuous. But the good news for Peraza is he's reached 5 years of MLB service time, so he could decline an option to the minors, and he just might. But we'll worry about that when the time comes. We'll see what happens. I think you got to keep this guy. He's a gamer, and he's good for the ball club. So that's just my opinion. I'm sticking with it. I hope you respect it. And how about Robert Stock? We had nobody to pitch yesterday, but Robert Stock filled the bill. He might not be the solution to the Mets, but when you have an arm in need, he can fill the void indeed, I guess. I don't even know. I'm a potent, don't even know it. I sting like a butterfly and float like a bee. Is that how it goes? No, sting like a bee and float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I get it. I'm no Muhammad Ali, so I'm not really a poet. But anyway, in his first start for the Mets, Stock allowed just 2 runs. And that came on Manny Pina's 2-run shot to deep right center. And I was at the game with my perch on behind home plate in the upper deck. I said, oh, my God, that ball just keep going and going and going. So I had to look up on the scoreboard, see Pina's average was like 130 coming into the game. So it shows you on any given swing, you can smack that ball. But Stock did okay. He allowed 4 hits while striking out 5 batters in 4 innings, and the Mets 5-0 loss to the Brewers. So he filled the need they needed him. Looks like he was making adjustments as the game went along. But like I said, he's just there to fill out the innings when needed. And he's a 31-year-old journeyman. He was claimed by the Mets after being released by the Cubs 6 days after his first career start, which was against the Mets. Before getting claimed, Stock got creative trying to stay sharp. He went to nearest park where you can throw a baseball into a fence. He was basically doing the stuff that we do as kids in the neighborhood. Then he received a call to join the team on Tuesday after Corey Oswald hit the 10-day injured list with right knee inflammation. So he rose to the occasion when he had to. Now get this, Stock was the 14th starting pitcher, Mets starting pitcher this year. That's the most in the major leagues. Now, despite the turmoil in their rotation, the Mets still boast a 2.96 ERA, which is the lowest in MLB for a starting rotation. So it's always about pitching. If you know me, I say it's pitching and defense first, and then the offense can come through. And how true is that this year? Because the Met offense has been horrible, and yet we're in first place. And I think almost could be said the same thing for Milwaukee. Now, I don't follow Milwaukee as close as I should other teams, like teams that are in the Mets division and everything. But sitting at the game yesterday, look at the scoreboard, I said, these guys are worse than the Mets when it comes to hitting. Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, Christian Yelich is okay. He's good. Don't get me wrong. But these guys aren't really hitting. I mean, Christian Yelich is having a bad year. There's really not one dominant hitter in that Brewer lineup. And what they've been doing is the same thing the Mets have been doing it with pitching. So it just goes to show in this day and age, it's about pitching. And you can say as good as the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants are, they've had the starting pitching this year. So we need to keep that up. And you know what we need to do? We need to win this coming series against the Pirates. At least take 3 out of 4. And we got Taijuan Walker going back. Look good, Taijuan. You want to show the country what you can do heading into the All-Star game. And you got my vote for our Met representative this year. So Taijuan gets the ball tonight. He's 7-3 with a 2.44 ERA. Excuse me, and he's going against JT Brubaker, who's 4-8 with a 4.09 ERA. The game here, if you're local, is on SNY and radio coverage on WCBS, and that's at 7:10 at God's Country City Field. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe below, and you'll be notified, and you'll be able to see all the videos that we do here. We do 2 a day. A daily report on the current status in the Mets, and then we go on this date in Met history and talk about what's happened on this date in Met history. So it'll be fun. If you like, dislike, whatever it may be, please let me know, and please watch. I'd love to have a little camaraderie with everybody here. So, and maybe one day, if you want to pop on, we can talk Met baseball here. I can hook you up, and we could do a little one-on-one rap session for the rest of our favorite audience the New York Met audience. See, I'm being serious. I got my military Met hat on today, and when I do that, I'm being serious. So anyway, talk to you soon. And coming up later is on this date of Met history. Check that one out too. Talk to you soon, guys. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the game tonight.